The Commanders ranked 29th in the PFT Power Rankings. It's not like one or two publications think this. Pretty much all the national publications
Mm-hmm.
look at the Commanders roster, look at their offseason, all the turnover, first year head coach now in DC, Dan Quinn, even with the nice staff he put together, and they go, that's a 4 or 5 win team, max. Yet the Commanders aren't really operating that way, and they don't seem to think of themselves that way. So who's right and who's wrong? Danny, do you agree with my premise that if Jaden Daniels is really good as a rookie, which they think he's going to be, then it's pretty hard to win 4 or 5 games?
If he's great, then yeah. I think that's pretty simple because it means the greatness is happening and he makes some plays and pulls highlight reel moments. You're going to win 6-7 games. I think that's where they are, by the way. I think they're closer to 27, 28 than they are to say 15. But I remember this conversation we had when Carson Wentz was named. They went and got him, and everybody was like, he's the worst quarterback in the league. And my point was, he's not good, and I wouldn't have done it. It was a huge mistake, but he's not the worst. Now, he's closer to probably 23rd than 37th, which is what, somebody had him or whatever, right, in the rankings. That's what this reminds me of. I don't know that they're going to slot ahead or behind of Tennessee. I don't know that they're going to be, better or worse than the Cardinals or the Patriots or whatever. To me, they're probably closer to 23, 24. But that's within kind of the margin of error to me if things go a certain way, you're picking in the top 10, even if Jaden Daniels is pretty good. And I think that's what's likely. Rookie undulations, some bad moments mixed in with some really good ones, some highlight reel things that make you go, oh my God, we got something. Plus some head scratcher, 110-yard, 3 interception, 1 fumble type days that happen to rookies. This league is hard. The other teams get paid to play too. And coordinators are up all night trying to figure out how to stop you.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, that's inevitable. There will be bad moments. But if there are enough good ones, my point is, you see Justin Herbert as a rookie, where you go, that guy's a star. They went 6-9, and a couple missed field goals here and there. They probably should have won 7 games, right? To me, my point is, we know what it looks like when a rookie quarterback is really good, and you can tell right away they hit. And I think if he plays at a level where you can tell as a rookie this season, they hit, they got their guy, they don't have to worry about this for years to come. I don't think 4 wins is in the cards. I don't think being the 29th or 30th best team in the league is possible if he's playing at that level. And because I'm banking on that type of rookie season for him, I'm going to say that the media is not quite right. Now, don't hear this as me being upset with the Commanders being lowballed. They have not earned any right to be upset. None of us have as fans. They have not earned the benefit of the doubt. Every time they're on national TV, they play at a level that when the world's watching you, they are allowed to talk S about you moving forward. Seriously. That Bears game on Thursday Night Football last year happened. We talk about this all the time. Commanders fans get very upset about how their team is viewed, how people think of them. And my point is always, you got to earn respect. They have not. So until they do, I don't think anybody can be salty about them being ranked so low in these rankings. And I'm not. I just think that they're off. In the same way, if you remember, going into the 2015 season, when Robert Griffin was benched and Jay Gruden named Kirk Cousins the starter, they became ranked dead last in a lot of those polls.
That's probably a better comp than my Carson Wentz one. That's a better one.
And I remember still what it said, because Cousins at that time had a high turnover rate, had thrown a lot of picks and limited, on the field, off the field, kind of getting jerked around chances. And I remember ESPN.com came out. They ranked Washington 32nd in the NFL. They said they're going with Cousins. He's a turnover machine. This is going to get ugly or whatever. I think most of us that are around the team, you guys who are plugged in fans, you kind of knew. Actually, the offense operates differently, but a lot of the time better when this guy's on the field. And it's going to open a lot of things up. And Kyle Shanahan and company are going to figure this out. It's going to be fine. Now, at that time, I think it was Jay Gruden's offense. But the point is, they went on to make the playoffs. They went on to win the division with 9 wins when everyone said they were 32nd. So I think it's probably a situation where the media hadn't quite caught up to the fact that they did a lot of good things to help them get better this offseason. Doesn't mean they're great. But if you're telling me they're either going to win 4 games or 9 games, I would guess 9. It's likely 7-ish, 8 maybe. But they're not going to be.
Yeah, I don't see bottom fallout.
They're not picking second. in my opinion.
Right.
Let's go to Shane in DC. What's up, Shane? How are you?
Commander Danny and Commander Grant. Grant, 9 games. What are you talking about, dude? I'm agreeing with the public. Look, we got a rookie quarterback.
Hang on. Let me clarify something.
Oh, here we go.
I did not predict 9 wins, my guy.
Grant said 9 wins, Shane. I heard him.
I said.
I thought he said 9 wins too, Commander.
No. Shane.
Commander, take a hold of this ship.
Shane, I said, my guy, if you told me right now, you either have to bet on them to win 4.
I'm telling you right now.
Or to win 9.
What you got?
I think they're probably
How many games are they winning, Grant?
7 games.
Okay, you're still drinking the Kool-Aid, Grant. I mean, come on.
See.
We got a rookie quarterback. Look, here's the thing.
Is he good or is he
Our
not good?
defense,
I was told he was
You're
good.
talking about quarterback. What about our defense? Look at our corners. Look at our corners. We got things like who are we going to stop? Look, the best, the key games, the first game of the season is the Jets. If we cannot, and that's a damn good receiving core. What's to say Aaron Rodgers don't go out there and receive, go just eat on? I'm telling you, you better be worried about the secondary, not the quarterback situation. We have no secondary right now. And look what we did last year with so much. Look, Dan Quinn's a great coach, but you can only coach what you have on the football field. That's it. Offensive line is still. We're going to be picking. By the way, we're going to be picking number again in the top 4 again next year. There's a great outside linebacker at the University of Tennessee. And by the way, go Vols tonight. We'll win that first.
I know you're fired up.
I was literally going to ask you, what Tennessee player are they taking in the top 5?
Exactly. He's got him taking connected
Thanks,
at number
Shane.
4 overall. Appreciate you, buddy. I am worried about the corner position on the outside, but I don't think it's as bad as you do. I think it's a weakness for sure. Benjamin St-Juste, I think, elevates his game. I think this is the perfect, lengthy, physical corner for
this regime,
Dan Quinn and Joe Witt to get a lot out of. I also think Mike Sanders still's fantastic. I think he's going to be excellent. So now I got one guy, if he stays healthy, and St-Juste on the outside, and then Sanders still in the slot that I like. Otherwise, there's some questions here. But do you know who the second most physical corner was in the NFL last season statistically?
Based on like eval or PFF list or something?
A PFF metric they put together for like contact on receivers in coverage and how close you were to the receiver, I think.
Gotcha. Is it St-Juste or somebody else?
Michael Davis, who they signed from the Chargers.
Well, that seems to be a bit of a profile they're looking for then. Interesting.
Right? St-Juste, I think, was 3rd in the NFL. They had 2 of the top 3. That's not a coincidence, to your point. This is the Legion of Boom dudes that came here. Right? I think there's a chance Michael Davis, who nobody knows yet, plays at a decent level, can be Kendall Fullerish. We'll see. When you say the secondary's bad, you mean cornerback's bad. There's no reason to believe signing Jeremy Chin, Derek Forrest getting healthy, having Quan Martin moving to safety, that shouldn't be a position where they can make plays. So I do agree. I'm worried about corner. Everyone's in 11 personnel. You got to cover 3 and 4 receivers at a time. But with Sanders still, with Quan Martin, who was a 2nd-round pick last year, notice I'm not saying anything about Manuel Forbes.
He's going to return kicks. I think if they're okay on defense, think about it, they were last in any category you could find. You could throw a dart at a category and they'd be 31st, 32nd, or even worse. If they're just fine, if they're 15 to 22, this is an okay group, right? I mean, that's kind of all I'm asking in terms of improvement without a ton of investment. And you lost 2 first-round draft pick defensive ends to help you hit the easy button in terms of quarterback pressure, generate turnovers and the like. I think this coaching staff is going to help. There'll be improvement there. I don't expect an overnight top 10 defense that's, wrecking worlds and getting off the field all the damn time. I just don't think that's in the cards. I don't think you can do that in one off season. But to me, I think they'll be better. How much it remains to be seen.
Let's go to Bryce, who is in Reston on Grant and Danny. Hey, Bryce.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, buddy.
So I got a question. Like, I hear all these homers all the time. They say, "Is every year this happens? Every year." They're like, "Oh, the National media slamming the Commanders, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do so much better. We're going to have 7 wins. They're only get us to 3 or 4 wins." Every year I hear it. But I hear all the, I'm not saying you guys in particular, but every radio host says, "Oh, they're slamming us more than they should." But I never hear one of them ever put a dime down on this. Like, these are the Vegas odds.
Well, I do.
So confident. I want to hear about this.
Yeah. Well, you're not in my FanDuel account, I guess. Because most years I win money on the over when they're at 5.5 or 6.5. By the way, you just said like every year, people, 7 of the last 9 years, if that's the case, we've been right, they've been wrong. They went 4-13 last year. They went 3-13 in 2019. Other than that, since 2014, they've won 7 to 9 games. That's basically what they are every year. So if you're sitting here saying, well, the radio people in town, hang on, we'll get back to you. The radio people in town every single year say 7 or 8 wins. Well, they're right 7 out of the last 9 years, and the national media has been wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe you're right, but I hear a lot of homers saying, "Oh, they're going to have like 8-8 or average season," or I hear a lot of even pushing above that. So but maybe you're right. Maybe they have Bush, done better than they're predicted to. But
so I can't speak to. Appreciate the call, buddy. I cannot speak to what every person predicts every year. I hear the same thing you do occasionally, where someone's got them in the playoffs or winning 10 games, and I laugh at it. I don't think I've predicted that maybe more than once in the last 10 years. I'd have to go back year by year. But more often than not, I look at the teams that they build, and I think it sounds boring, but I've got them kind of in the middle of the pack, which is where they end up. They won 7 to 9 games, all but 2 seasons since 2015. And I think that's about where they should have been. There's also something to be said where if you don't have a really high-end quarterback, and they have not since 2017, you don't really have a chance to be a whole lot higher than 7 to 9 wins. But almost every season, they are pegged in the bottom 5 or so nationally. And they have been there like 3 times in a decade. So my point is that it's really easy to poke fun at the Commanders this time of year nationally. And I don't fault anybody for doing it, but it's very rare that they're that terrible. Those are the years where coaches get fired. It happens every 4 or 5 years.
I was going to say the cycle is pretty simple. You get a bottom falls out disastrous year where it's proven that the guy that was in charge or guys or whoever didn't know what they were doing. They were overwhelmed and they were wrong about nearly everything. Then someone gets fired and comes in as the white knight and tries to fix it. You get not success, but you get mediocrity. You get 7, you get 8, you get, the occasional 9-7 season. We act like it's dramatically different than an 8-8 season or historically. And it's not, it's a field goal that hits an upright or it doesn't. It's a fumble that's recovered or isn't. It's a face mask that get called or isn't, whatever. Right. So that's usually what happens. And then we're in that cycle where the bottom falls out and everything's terrible. And then we do it all over again. The hope here, the reason I'm actually optimistic, not about this one season, by the way, is to end that cycle, is to not be on this dumb hamster wheel, is to not be on we're all in for just okay. We're all in for one playoff spot to maybe see if we can be cannon fodder for a real contender. I want out of that business. And I'm hoping that this group, by the way, that's smart and coherent and thoughtful and makes a lot of sense with the actions and words and everything else set in the culture, is finally able to break that thing for us, to play meaningful games more often. Not just if 7 different teams lose, 4 teams tie, and I'm still technically in the hunt, even though, everybody, I have 12 teams to climb over just to be the last wild card spot. I want out of that dance.
Yeah.
I want to be actually good. And there's a chance for that now where there wasn't for the previous, 3 decades.
And if I could explain away maybe some of why you hear the people closest to the team being homers, I think sometimes when you're around it, you just hear the positivity of the people that you're covering. So in terms of the beat, which this is not to throw them under the bus, they don't all think as one anyway. But, when you hear predictions from people that cover the team, I did this at one point for several years. You're talking to coaches all the time. They're selling, right? They're telling you, this is going to work.
Wait till you see Chase Young, man.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm this Ryan Grant guy, he can run routes, man. You're going to be blown away. And sometimes they're right. They said the same thing to me about Jamison Crowder, who they found in the mid rounds. He's going to be an unbelievable punt returner. For a little while, he was. And he's going to help us in the slot. He was excellent. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes it's Ryan Grant, right? Sometimes they tell you before the season starts, Jordan Reed's going to be the best route running, pass catching tight end in the league, not named Aaron Hernandez. That he's the only guy in the league other than Hernandez who can do these things. Now, obviously, tragically looking back, Aaron Hernandez no longer with us. Not a name you want to be linked to, but they were right about Jordan Reed. Sometimes they're saying the same things about fill in the blank player who went by the wayside. But when you're in that and you're around it all day, you're only studying the one team. You go watch an NFL practice or a mini camp when you're throwing against air. You're not watching the other 31 teams. It can look pretty good.
Yeah.
So you can get fooled a little bit when you were closer to the thing. I think sitting in studio now with you and getting to sit here helps a little bit because you have some of the ability to tap into what they're thinking in the building, texting people, calling people, but you also get a little more league-wide view of what everything else looks like. And it does help. I think sometimes the closer you are, the harder it is to really. It's like walking right up on a painting. If you're an inch from the Mona Lisa,
Mhm.
what are you seeing? And then you come back.
This
and
is
you're
just blurry. What's this chick doing?
oh, okay. Now I get a better feel. So I understand his annoyance and his frustration. I didn't mean to shoot him down as much as to say his point was, well, every year people think they're going to win 7 or 8 games. Well, guess what? At a 85% clip, those people have been right, and the people that say they're going to be terrible have been wrong this decade.
Yeah, and if you're complaining about homers, it takes all kinds, right? I mean, there's different personalities, different views. I mean, love Eric Bickle, but he's more optimistic about the team than I am usually. I don't think that's bad.
Every year.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not
By the way,
crazy.
if you want to seek out people that are positive, if you want to call them homers, like that,
Yeah, what do we want to
that are
say?
giving you the most bullish outlook, they're available.
Mhm.
They're all over the market. I like to think we keep it a little medium. Here's how I know if you're doing it well. If you're getting constantly called a hater
Thank you.
and occasionally called a homer, which I think we walk that line pretty well.
Everyone yells at me. I argue against everyone.
If everyone's mad at you
Yes.
and you're simultaneously referred to as a hater and a homer, then you're probably doing a pretty good job.
That's the hope.
Not that he was coming at us, but just kind of a State of the Union talking about the local media.
We're just talking, just people chatting. That's all that's happening. Appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But lastly on this, Daniels is the whole key. It's such an easy cop-out.
But it's not, though. I mean, I know what you mean.
But it is all that matters.
Right.
It's why it's such a cliched thing to say.
Mhm.
There's no more important position in sports. In hockey, if your goalie's unbelievable, you're going to win a lot of games, right? So if I'm looking at a team and I go, what kind of year are they going to have? And you're going to slide across the starting goaltender, the A goalies, goals against average, save percentage. I'm going to give you a pretty good idea right then and there. Oh, they're really good. This guy's got a sub 3 goals against and a 920 save percentage. It's a damn good team right now, right? The only thing maybe more telling than a couple stats like that in other sports is quarterback performance. And they have a guy, I'm putting a lot on Cliff Kingsbury here, design an offense that works for him. He just did something in the SEC against a bunch of NFL players that nobody's ever done before. It is up to Kingsbury to beat Kyle from 2012. With Robert, as we know looking back, he was not ready for the bright lights as a traditional pocket passer. It didn't matter. They were number 1 in passing yards per play. They were number 1 in offense. And he was an unbelievable playmaker with his feet in a designed run game around him. Kingsbury got paid a lot of money as a marquee hire to come in here. You've got to design an offense that allows Jayden Daniels to thrive. There's no excuse not to. He's too talented.
Well, just tell you how times have changed in general, by the way, just to your point about quarterback. I mean, there's 1,000,001 stats that'll tell you the story, but without looking at any other factor, every passer in the top 11 last year, if you go down the passing yards rankings, just yards, no other details, not yards per attempt, not quarterback rating, not QB or anything else. The top 11 passers in terms of yards all were quarterbacks on winning teams. That wouldn't have been the case 20, 30 years ago. Would have been, well, they're behind all the time, and so, they don't have good running totals. This is now the league. Isn't that incredible?
That's shocking.
All 11 quarterbacks in the top 11 in yards. The number 12 was Sam Howell, and they did not have a winning record. But everybody else, Tua, Goff, Prescott, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, Pat Mahomes, Jordan Love, C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence. Even they were 9-8.
Just good offenses.
Yeah.
That threw the football well.